Big Hill. Little bit of a disconnect there with the internet. We appreciate you guys hanging tight with us here. Look, my take, by the way, please hit the like button. We will have today Jason Cole at 4:30, and we will have also the Philly Godfather will be with us as he always is, 5:30 Eastern time. So we'll get his thoughts too. That'll be at 5:30 Eastern. My point again with Vic, and again, it's hard to sit here on March 8th and go, Vic Fangio's hire sucks. It's not what I'm doing. I want you to pump the brakes, though. I hear. I tuned into Bill a little bit today, and he's Mr. Optimistic, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. And some go like this: I'm a pessimistic guy, not a pessimistic guy. I want you to tell me who you are right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you something that you might be this. I'm going to root for you and hope for you. I want to know who you are right now. And this is what you're doing today. That's all it is. This is what you are right now. You're not a playoff team right now. Now, after free agency, after the draft, could that change? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you see, one thing I'm not, it's not anything to do with optimism. It's being a realist. Anybody in their right mind would look at that football team last year and go, here's the synopsis of the Eagles. Man, they really had a good start to the season. And they had an epic crash at the end of the season. Their defense completely fell apart, and their offense had no continuity, and it became predictable. The coaching was terrible from the head guy to the coordinators. The players didn't fight for anybody. They didn't even fight for themselves. They got blown out by a Buccaneer Baker Mayfield-led Buck team. That's who they are. You're only as good as the last game you played. You're only as good as that. Don't make it more than that. Well, and by the way, talking to me about 2022 falls on deaf ears. I don't give a shit. I don't care about what happened in 2022 is old news. Stop with that. Like 2017 is old news. Now, you can talk about directions and how they did business then in 17, but when you're kind of trying to compare things, when it comes to players, offensing, coaching styles today, that shit's old news. It is totally old news. Jalen Hurts' 2022 season, stop referencing it. It has no bearing on who he is right now. That's what he was. And especially when you put shitty coordinators around him and you don't give him any help. By the way, let me ask you this. So you really believe that Jalen Hurts' complete failure last year was all on Brian Johnson and not Hurts himself? Is that what you believe? That's called deflecting. Hurts had no accountability. How come Patrick Mahomes is able to overcome losing Tyreek Hill and also Eric Bieniemy? Well, because he has Andy Reid? Right. We still wonder what your coach does for a living. 85%, according to Big Chris, of Jalen Hurts' failures were on coaching. So, Chris, let me ask you something here. When your Philadelphia Phillies go into a batting slump, you blame the hitting instructor or the hitting coach for the Phillies and not the players? And you don't have player accountability? 15%, or what is it? Right? 15% was Jalen Hurts' fault that he sucked last year. And 85% was Brian Johnson. LJ's right. Mahomes says continuity in coaching. Exactly correct. It's exactly my point why Sirianni should not be the head coach. You'll never have Hey, LJ, you want to hear something? Jalen Hurts will never have continuity in coaching ever in Philadelphia. He will never have continuity. In his entire career in Philadelphia, he will never have it. He'll never have consistent coaching in Philly until you get a play-calling head coach. When that dynamic changes, he'll have continuity. Until then, he'll never. Hurts will never get the coaching he deserves in Philadelphia as long as that guy's the head coach. Am I wrong? Because if he does well, the coordinator's gone. If he does bad, the coordinator's fired. How can he get continuity? How could he get consistent coaching? I used to love Jalen. He's not the same player. Charlie, a lot to love about the guy's character, though. After he got paid, everyone could see it. Nick should have been the first guy fired. Absolutely. Okay? Hurts has had the same OC for back-to-back years all of once, okay? That also happened to be the time he put up an MVP-type season, correct? And then he turned around and had a flop season where he almost led the NFL in turnovers the following year. As I just said, LJ, he'll never get the consistency of coaching in Philadelphia. You're making my point. And I think you're enhancing the point, and I don't think you're arguing. But that's correct. You'll have an MVP season, and you can have a season where you almost lead the NFL in turnovers. So he'll never, ever, as long as Nick Sirianni's the head coach, have consistent coaching. Tell me I'm wrong. LJ goes, hopefully Moore fixes that. Well, if he fixes it, he's going to be the head coach of the Bills or the Bears. He's not going to be the head coach of the Eagles because the Eagles are going to keep Nick. And you'll be looking for another coordinator. Because you know why? Just like Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey said, the Eagles believe that they think their process is why they win, not coaching. That's why they believe they win. That's why they change coaches out and don't have a problem doing it. That's one place. Being a head coach in Philadelphia is the least secure job in America when it comes to NFL coaching. Because they'll replace you no matter if you win a Super Bowl or whether you go to 3 playoffs in a row or almost have a 700 win percentage. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. That's how they think. So when I hear guys talking about Vic Fangio and they go, this guy didn't know what they were doing. Get this. You got to listen to what they said. That's going to give you a precursor to what we're going to see in the fall. Listen what they said. Yeah, this guy wanted us playing zone and off the ball and 10 yards off the ball. We're press cover corners. So Vic did exactly what they do in Philly by playing center field. They're going to do the same shit again. Bradbury and Slay are not going to change anything. The technique's the same. The responsibilities are the same. Nothing's changing. Nothing. And here was a guy that was part of a game plan that put the players in a position where Bradbury got annihilated in the Super Bowl by Juju Smith-Schuster. I hate that philosophy. Because if you don't get this, look what he did with that. They broke the Dolphins' sack record and couldn't cover anybody because he played his corners out of position. Those guys hated playing for Vic Fangio. They hated playing for him. But now Vic comes to a better fit. You know why? Because they don't have shutdown corners. They have zone corners. So maybe it will be better because that's all those guys can do. They can't press. How many times did you see Slay grabbing guys or Bradbury tackling guys last year because those guys weren't press cover corners? They were zone corners. This is going to be something to see. You better fix that safety position and linebacker position, and you better get more sacks, or you're going to have a whole shitload of the same shit from last year. Seals, the Eagle fans we hope for a 3-win team, so Laurie will have to fire everyone. Absolutely not, because I don't want to go into next season with Nick as the coach. I listen, man. Dude, hey, Joseph, you might want to hope that they win 10, 11 games and Hurts throws for 45 touchdowns so that they keep Moore and fire Nick. You might want to hope for that. They may do that. Okay? They may actually do that. They did interview him 2 years ago for the head coaching job. So they may do that. So here again, for me, listening to Jalen Ramsey and those guys talking like that, and Xavier Howard, makes me pause. Okay, so we know this. They're going to do the same shit. Nothing's different. You will see no difference in defense. Less blitzing, okay, and more relying on the front four to get home. That's why it's crazy that if Vic Fangio is stepping on the gas pedal to get Hassan Reddick out of the building, there's no question, in my opinion, they're going to draft an edge rusher and they're going to sign an edge rusher in free agency and they're going to get one in the draft. I think that it's a slam dunk that they're going to do that. The question will come down, are they going to pay? Here, let's do it. I was going to wait to the top of the hour, but let's do it now. Free agent targets for the Eagles. Will the Eagles be willing to spend the money that they need? I hear Bill and I hear the Birds 365 guys. They're going to have almost $50 million in cap space. That sounds great. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Personally, you know what the problem is? If you spend the majority of that money on free agent signings, that's a testament to the inability to draft and to self-develop and reinvest in your own assets. It's also a double-edged sword on a message set. You spend a lot of money in free agency, that just shows you have no player development. Because that money needs to go towards Devontae, Landon Dickerson, guys like that. People that you have on your roster that you drafted and developed, and you get them to the idea on drafting someone is to get them to 3 contracts. If you can get 3 contracts out of a player, that draft pick was well worth it, okay? It was well worth it. It was absolutely well worth it, okay? You have to at least get that's when you know you're drafting well. Nolan Smith ain't ready to be Reddick. That's right. You're going to have to go into free agency because you F up there all the time when it comes to edge rushers. You haven't had a decent edge rusher since Trent Cole. Absolutely. You cannot develop on that side of the ball. Development and giving young guys field time early is a huge problem. Mike, they don't want to put these guys in positions to fail because they're not ready. Nolan Smith's not ready. Nakobe Dean wasn't ready. Jordan Davis is barely ready. Keely Ringo is barely ready. All the young guys that you draft on defense are not ready to play. How can you draft Jalen Carter and kind of Jordan Davis? How can you draft all these players and they're not ready to play a down in the NFL and call yourself a good talent scout? I mean, the Cowboys miss on Mozzie Smith, in my opinion, unless this guy has an epiphany. And this year he turns into Vince Wilfork. That's not looking good. Kyle says, Sills, the A.J. Brown trade rumors are picking up. Good. There's nobody expendable on that team, as far as I'm concerned. There's nobody that's not tradable except probably the quarterback because you're building your offense around him. Hey, I agree. You know, one thing I do agree with Bill and the guys in the morning, you better not get rid of A.J. Brown because that guy needs all the help he can get. You start taking pieces off that offense, he's lost. He could barely find – when he just had Devontae Smith out there in that Buck game, he looked awful. Okay? Looked awful. Dude, Chris, Mozzie was terrible. All right, I put these names down as potential guys. Now, the question's going to come down one more time here. Are you going to spend the money? Are you going to spend the money? Philly D goes, trading AJ is idiotic. Name me one wide receiver, Philly D. That's a $25 million wide receiver that won you a Super Bowl in the last 7 years. Name me one. Name me one. I heard Bill talking about running backs. Name me one wideout that was making top 3 money when they won the Super Bowl. Mike Evans wasn't. Name me one. Cooper Kupp wasn't. Devontae Adams hasn't. Tyreek Hill wasn't making big money. None of those guys made any money. Okay? Deebo Samuel didn't get it done. Name me one guy. There's none. All these big-time wideouts that you want to pay $25 million to don't bring you Super Bowls. They don't bring you Super Bowls. Paying a wideout $25 million. He gets all his numbers, and you guys go 1 for 7 in the last half of the season. He doesn't show up for 9 games, and you want to keep him. Okay. And it got you nowhere, and you got destroyed by the Bucs. Congratulations to you. Jerry Rice. Have to go back 35 years for that one, didn't you, kid? Then why are wide receivers paid so much? Fantasy football. That's why. Gambling. Prop bets. It's a lucrative position. It's the second most lucrative position on the field. You're starting to see wide receivers in quarterback annual salary rooms. Gambling, prop bets, all that. Fantasy. Because at the end of the day, I mean, Brady never won with a high-priced receiver, ever, a Super Bowl. Never. Like I said, Cooper Kupp was a third-round guy still on a rookie deal. He got his money in the offseason, and he took a pay cut. Remember, he took a team-friendly contract? Antonio Brown was making league minimum when he was with the Bucks. Big Chris trying to tell you Antonio Brown was making high money with the Bucks when they won the Super Bowl when he was making league minimum. They signed him to a league minimum contract. Tyreek Hill was not making top money. That's why the Chiefs did not pay him, and they traded him to the Dolphins. They weren't going to pay him the 25 or so he wanted, so they traded him. Didn't need him. Mahomes has won 2 Super Bowls since he's been gone. Didn't need him. AB never got the money he deserved. That's an AB thing. Okay? I think the more money you pay quarterbacks and the more money you pay wide receivers, the further away, unless you have Mahomes. And finding a Mahomes is right, Slagger. He's a unicorn. That's why winning a Super Bowl, in my opinion, you've got to get that thing done in the early part of these guys' careers before you got to start paying them. Because once you pay the wideouts, like get this, it is not, unless you bring Kirk Cousins back or you sign Russell Wilson in Minnesota, what's the point of signing Justin Jefferson to a $30 million a year contract when you got Joshua Dobbs throwing him the ball? What's the point of that? Why would you do that? If you're Minnesota, how does that even make fiscal sense? When you've got more holes in your back end of your defense, your old line, you moved off of Dalvin Cook. How does that make sense? See, what people don't like, that and I get it. You know, I've had this conversation with Xander, and everyone's right. AJ's a great player. He's a great player. But this is about a team. This is not about him getting his. I don't give a shit about his numbers. That's why the problem that you have, the wide receiver on the other side is a really good ball player. And I think he could be an even better ball player if he spread the football around more. But that's not going to suit that guy over on the left side because he's going to come over to the sidelines and bitch more. The one thing that you know, what's the one thing you noticed in the playoffs? When you watch Jordan Love or you watch CJ Stroud or you watch Mahomes play, there wasn't one single target. They spread that shit out all over the place. And what were the two teams that were isolated on one wideout? The Cowboys and the Eagles. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown. And both were blown out. Do you think there's a coincidence to that? The two teams that got destroyed in the postseason were the two teams that were isolated on one guy. CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, A.J. Brown in Philly. And both teams were killed by 30. And when you have Stroud, this guy Nico Collins, where'd he come from? Because he's spreading the ball around the room. Shit, I can't even name you all those wideouts up in Green Bay. Dude, honest to God, that guy up in Green Bay, Jordan Love, he looked better than Jalen last year. To me, it's not signing. Hey, look, the problem that you had is that this goes back to the Rager conversation. You get Jefferson on a rookie deal, and you have Hurts on a rookie deal, and you get 3 years of equity, and you don't have to spend $60 million on one wideout. That's how you keep salary cap integrity. Over the next 3 years, you'll spend $65 million on A.J. Brown. And if he doesn't deliver you a Super Bowl, what was the point? He got his numbers. He became one of the great Eagle wide receivers. Great. What'd you win? Nothing. What's the point? Your defense has gone the other way. Okay? Sills, to you, anyone is better than Jalen. Well, it's funny you should say that. This is not me. This is Fox. Came out with a list of the top 12 quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's take a look at that. This is Fox. Today. Dak Prescott, 12. C.J. Stroud, 11. Rodgers, 10. Kyler Murray, 9. Goff, 8. Trevor Lawrence, 7. Herbert, 6. Matthew Stafford, 5. Lamar Jackson, 4. Joe Burrow, 3. Josh Allen, 2. Mahomes, 1. Where's Jalen Hurts? This ain't my list. This ain't my list. Where's your boy? Hey, Big Chris goes, Rodgers, 10 played, 2 plays. Aaron Rodgers is superior to Jalen Hurts. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's better right now than that guy will ever be. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is better than Hurts will ever be. Throwing the ball. Don't kid yourself. This is Fox's list. This is Fox's list. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Stafford, Herbert, Lawrence, Goff, Murray, Rodgers at 10, Stroud at 11, Dak at 12. Where's your boy? You think I'm the only one that says that. So it's not just me. Network that covers the Eagles doesn't think it. Hey, but Purdy's, hey, that's a good call. I didn't think about that. Purdy and you're right, Purdy's not on this list. Okay. I didn't think of that. You're right. Brock Purdy's not on that list. And neither is Jordan Love. All right. How you doing? Yeah. No. Philly misses the point. It's not just me saying it, jackass. Only people in Philly think that guy's a top 5 quarterback because he ain't. Oh, and Bill Colangelo thinks he's a top 3 quarterback too. Let's see here. Jalen needs a play-calling head coach to teach him like Reed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely agree. Right. Sales, AJB and Smitty together is a luxury we can't afford when we don't have a defense. That's a great take, Bob. Bob, that's a great, Bob, best take you've had in a long time. That's a great one. That's right. In 22, you can afford it. In 23, you couldn't. It's a great take. That's a super take, Bob. Okay? Super take. Jackass. Yes, sir. All right. Will your boy Howie Roseman open up the purse strings? Move the zipper. Will the banker, head of financing at the Philadelphia Eagles bank known as Novacare? You guys ever shop at the bank in Novacare? Hey, get this, Xander. Howie Roseman is like one of the best tellers in the NFL. Tremendous teller. You looking for a loan? What do you need? Are you looking for a loan? This guy's a teller. Randy Moss never won a title with. How many times I got to tell you that, dude? Moss never won a title in New England. How many times I got to tell you that? If Price is right. Okay. All right. Bob Barker. Holy shit, Howie Roseman's Bob Barker. Oh, my God. Hey, that's right. He's a glorified Bob Barker. I like it. Howie Roseman is a glorified Bob Barker. What do you say, Xander? Yeah. Are you going to take behind door number 2? Where are we going here? Moss went undefeated. As usual, Chris. Celebrating silver medals and bronze medals. Congratulations to you. You're part of the Philadelphia crowd that celebrates mediocrity and participation medals. Keep it going, brother. Keep it going. I'm glad you participate. Okay? Speaking of what, I'm not going to touch that one, dual threat. No, thank you. That's where we back up on it there. Okay? Yes, sir, man. Howie, the best Bob Barker going. Let's make a deal. Howie, let's make a deal. Roseman. Oh, my God. Howie, let's make a deal, Roseman. Tell me that doesn't fit. Let's make a deal. All right. Let's make a deal. I'm going to do that next. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.